it's very warm here today. It's kind of oddly warm, actually.
Yeah.
I might try to get out and ride a horse.
People going out in t-shirts in February.
Yeah.
Wow. That's what we wanted to hear. We still all wrap it up.
Well, it's not normal for us, so it's a little bit concerning, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Mm. Well,
Uh,
I guess nowadays the weather is always, unpredictable.
well, what you worry about here is not enough water.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And
Which I know sounds weird there, right?
probably sounds
Yeah.
weird in Maine too, but that's the case in New Mexico. By
Yes.
the way, I am going to have to bail at the top of the hour.
Okie doke. Well, we will try to do our best to get most of it done before then. I think that's a good goal. So why don't we go ahead and get ourselves started? All right, so okay, so are we recording this? Okay, all right. So we officially got accepted by Sessionize to go into Sessionize to use their platform as an open source project, and the supply chain I go to organizer. SecureChainCon is officially open. So if you haven't, please go into Sessionize. You should be able to find SecureChainCon now 2025 and submit a talk. So that is done and ready. The website for that has been updated. So there's SecureChainCon. Here's the banner for submitting a talk. You can register for SecureChainCon. You can submit a talk now, or you can go on to our other page, and it gives a longer breakdown of exactly what we're up to. So at least right now, everything's ready to be pushed out. So if please share the submit a talk and the register. Right now, I think between now and April, getting the talks will be most important. And then I'll get another banner for that last 6 weeks for advertising the actual event. So I think that we are pretty good, looking pretty good for SecureChainCon at this point. I just put Tracy reviewed. Jeez. We have coming up in, is it 2 weeks or is it next week? What does a month look like? I got to get myself oriented to what the next 2 weeks.
Next week.
It should be next week. A month. Yeah. So next, I'm going to be traveling to DC on Monday. I will not be back for the event. So Kate will be hosting. Are we in the right month? Yeah. Policy Summit starts. So I'm traveling on Monday, and the event is next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow, right? Is that correct? Or no, Wednesday.
No, it's Wednesday, I believe.
Yeah, it's Wednesday the 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
in my
Wednesday the
calendar.
5th.
Yeah.
So it's a week from tomorrow, a week from this Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And I'm
assume that will
I'm
be
traveling a
recorded.
week from today.
Yeah. So, Kate, you're planning to record that, I presume?
Yes.
Because I won't be able to be there at the time, but I will certainly follow up with the recording. And
That
obviously,
should not be a problem. Steve, I think we have it set to automatically record when we open the session.
I will be there to help sort it out because there was something weird with Zoom where we couldn't make Kate a host or co-host for some reason. but I'll be there to help kick it off, the recording and stuff. Webinars and Zoom are weird.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it had to do with our account. So Kate's not on our account, but Steve can start it and get it going. So Kate, you've got.
Hey, feel free to put me on that.
So you should have backup anyway. Not a problem.
All right.
Yeah, Tracy, can you send the invite for everyone, like for the whole Google group?
Just go here, Arvin, and go to register. And you'll get the invite if you register for it.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, and that is pretty much kind of gives a summary of the two projects that we have going, SecureChainCon and our Job Seekers series. Brian's note taker is here. Is Brian here? Brian, are you on? He is not. He was going to do a follow-up on our next one, which was going to be a webinar around tools. So I think that let me put a note. I'll share with Brian, or I'll send Brian an email and ask him if he still has a headhunter who might help with that one. And that would be sometime in early April. So we kind of got to get it sorted out if we're going to do that. And that's about all I have for today. Those are the things that we're working on.
I have something quickly, a question for Steve, and that is, have you heard and have used Grafana for graphs?
Well, Grafana is a graphing tool, I think, for logs on Kubernetes. Or dependency, something like that. It is based on another graphing tool, I believe, like D3S or something like that.
Only because we used it for a project and it was free for us. And so I don't know if it would help from a, of course it was about bringing in events, but
Yeah, I'll have to look at it. I haven't looked at it in a long time, on what data it can consume. I know it is very dashboard driven, put it that way. So
And it
like
was
I said, it may work. It may work for us if we can get our data sorted out to pump into it.
because I've been thinking a lot about the dashboards, and the more I thought about it, and the more I thought about, taking complexity and and maybe this isn't the right meeting, but just something quickly to think about, is that, people either saw red or green.
Yeah.
And I think of course, with people who are colorblind, I know that there was something else that we did, but I was just watching something the other day, and when I saw the dashboards again, it was, green was good, red needed some sort of attention. And I really thought again about this, about taking something complex and making it simple. For those of us who don't understand, we just know, okay, there's red, we need to pay attention. Okay, green, I don't have to think about it.
Right.
When you're thinking about engineers going in and out of a substation or something like that, it was always beneficial, or any sort of critical operations. It was always like they just don't have time to do that. And so, when you take operators and even take it all the way up to C-level, it was pretty much the operators and C-level people had that same type of mentality. Like, what am I looking at? And then we had something on the right that went specifically for compliance and audits and things like that. That was something totally different for those who wanted to go deeper into what are they looking at. But for the majority of folks, they only want to see like two colors. And it seems like ridiculous, but we did a lot of research on this, put a lot of time, and this was when I was with Micro Focus. So I don't know, just something to put out there when you're thinking about it.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned that thought process and that angle of looking at things, that it could work, because we always needed some way to tell people that there's an event you have to respond to. There's a new vulnerability, go do something. And something like the Grafana may be a good place for us to send those events to, because then from there you can get into hooking ServiceNow into Grafana and all that stuff, and there's a whole automation piece that can plug into that world without us having to do anything. And if we look at doing your daily checkup event, and you all of a sudden have red flashing lights because there's a critical vulnerability out there, that process may work. So I think that's a good idea, and I'll take a look at Grafana again.
Okay, cool.
So part of it is the tool, part of it is giving people the ability to say, I want a green light if none of my underlying factors are worse than yellow. I want a yellow light if 5 or more are red. Because remember, these are going to be almost guaranteed to be hierarchical at some point.
Right.
And, the fact that one thing is red may or may not matter. So you need both, I'll shut up in a sec, Kate. You need both how many and maybe a sense of criticality or priority for them being able to be defined. Because of that, I see too many things problem.
Yeah. And that's the thing I have to look at is if Grafana allows you to tailor the queries for your own personal preference. So you get to decide whether red is bad or red is good. You know what I mean?
To say something too.
Yeah, go ahead, Kate.
So the only issue, and like I said, I mean, we actually spent, we actually had about 4 or 5 people, and it was a global initiative on trying to create these dashboards, and had not just engineers, but like marketing people who really put a thought process behind, really asked these questions with some of the customers that we had. And it was, I was surprised because from my perspective, I was like, no, I want, like different variations, different like meters and things like this, or some sort of where I can tell, like, even if you're looking at a hurricane and there's like a wind meter type of idea. But the majority of folks just wanted to know all systems good or if something was bad. And then that was it. And then we thought, okay, so the original dashboard has to be really very, very simple. But then we had a box for those who were engineers and audit people that brought in MITRE, that brought in these different types of, for energy, it was NERC and FERC and these different things. And that was like a totally separate dashboard that people could do a deep dive. And it made sense because, when you're thinking about, the majority of time, a person, an operations person, or a C-level person, it's just like, the C-level person is just like, when there was a vulnerability, I mean, how many times, Tony, I mean, I know I was like called, there was a vulnerability, and I would get these calls like, okay, are we safe? And because that's what the calls that they were getting from their board. And so so I think we have to think about all the different personas that Tracy had put down in that original front page that she has. And because we're dealing with personas, and those are the personas that we want for the dashboard, and then have that separate side that you can click on that takes you to a deep dive. That can take you to a risk standpoint, can take you to a compliance and audit standpoint, like all these different, NIST standpoint. But the original I'm jumping into Ortelius to look at, you know, this open source. This is just my ideas, guys. I'm not telling you it means anything at all, other than, you know, that just this is actually my background. The dashboarding was and socks were definitely something that I have spent a lot of time into in trying to address many different personas. And anyway, those are my 2 cents.
Okay, well, it sounds like there's more design work there, and tool evaluation, but this isn't the meeting for it.
Right. Excuse me. Yes, you're right.
No worries. No worries. It's always good to hear you got something on your mind. So is there anything else in the outreach area that we need to discuss? I think we got two, you know, I think the biggest focus we should have is getting, we all need to work on getting speakers to submit talks so we can get some good talks. We're only going to have a handful because it is only 4 hours. So I'm hoping that they, you know, we get some, and, you know, I probably should have gone in there and we might have considered having people do 15-minute talks, but, you know, 30-minute talks or 15-minute talks are going to be great. So let's just make sure and get that out there and in the public eye.
So I've got two things, both with regard to the webinars we're talking about doing and have the first scheduled in a week.
Yes.
One is I pushed that information on that webinar to a few people, including you may know Esteban Martinez at CNM, Tracy.
I think I have met him. Yeah.
He's kind of responsible for hooking their grads up to job opportunities. So I said, here, get people to come to this. There may be other equivalent programs people are running where they could potentially have a bunch of people need to look at this at the webinar. That was the one I thought of. The second thing is I've been building up, and I will send it to you, a list of people that pop up on Facebook with, you know, advice for job seekers. They're a bunch of recruitery kind of people that do Facebook Reels on this. So I'll send that to you, Tracy.
Okay. Well, if
I'm
you,
not
if
sure
you,
where that
if you know, because I don't know Esteban personally, I've met him. That's the best I can say.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
have the email or
I've
anything.
already told him about it.
Okay, great.
I'm just saying, if anybody else on this, there may be an equivalent thing in Maine that
Right.
knows about or something.
Right.
So anyway, and I'll send you that list in a few minutes.
Okay.
Anything else? Alrighty, sounds like that's a wrap for today. Thanks, everybody.
I know.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.